Hello learners, I am Dr. Parveen Babar. I am Deputy Librarian at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. I welcome you to this session on Internet of Things under the ARPIT course titled Emerging Trends and Technologies in Library and Information Services on SWAYAM platform organized by IIT Delhi. So, let us discuss what is Internet of Things, which is known as IoT. IoT is basically a system of interrelated computing devices or objects which have the ability to transfer the data over a network without requiring an human to human or human to computer interaction uniquely addressable based on the standard of communication protocols. Internet of Things is a giant network basically of connected things capturing the data about the way they are used and the environment around them. When we speak about the things in this Internet of Things caption, that is in IoT, these are the objects and not precisely identifiable. The sensors in this are used in the devices and objects, and these feed the data to various IoT platforms. Further, IoT platforms are used to gather the pinpointed information and detect the patterns of the users. Thus, with the above process, the IoT helps the organizations and the institutions in reducing the cost through improved processes, efficiency, then we have asset utilization, and it also enhances the productivity. IoT or Internet of Things is known by different names like Internet of Everything, Smarter Planet, Machine to Machine Computing or M2M, the fog, then it is also known as T sensors, which is trillion sensors. The world is moving towards the trillion sensors now. It is also known as the industrial internet, then industry 4.0, industry 5.0, which is these kind of scenarios are coming up. So, these are known as industry 4.0. Then Internet of Things is the basic wider used word for which is most popular in the industry. Now, what are the reasons why IoT is being used? There are mainly 5 reasons which we can discuss why IoTs are used in the industry or now in the libraries also. First one is data deluge. The explosion of the amount of data collected and exchanged is one of the major reasons why IoT came into existence. Forecasts indicate that in the year 2015, more than 220 exabytes of data will be stored. So, we need novel mechanism to find, fetch and transmit data will be required, and there is a decrease in energy required to operate intelligent devices. So, this is the second point or the reason why IoTs are required. The search will be for a zero level of entropy where the device or system will have to harvest its own energy. Then the third one is miniaturization of devices, like the devices are becoming increasingly smaller. So, that is the reason IoTs are coming into it. And fourth is the autonomic management. The devices and the systems of futures will have the self management, self healing and self configuration capabilities. And now with the time changing and the computers modifying itself, the internet is modifying itself, we have IPv6 which is emerging as a integration layer, which is enabling these kind of devices to become a IoT Internet of Things devices. So, these are the major 5 reasons why the Internet of Things are required. Now, what are the enablers of Internet of Things? What makes it a perfect system? First one is the energy. It issues such as energy of harvesting and low proper chipsets are central to the development of IoTs. So, energy is one of the enabler. Then intelligence, the devices are now getting intelligent, devices have the capabilities such as context awareness, then inter-machine communications are enabled in these kind of devices. So, this is the second enabler. The third one is the communications. Now, communication means new smart multi-frequency band antennas, integration of chips and then made of new materials which brings the communications, and it means that it will enable the devices to communicate. Integration is one of the major forces behind the or called the enabler of Internet of Things. Integration of small devices into packaging or better into the products themselves will allow a significant cost saving and increase the eco-friendliness of the your products. Then another enabler is the interportability. It is a protocol for interportability have to be standardized, means all machines have interportability into them so that they can talk to each other and the data can be further generated. Then the final enabler is the standards. Like we have now open standards which will be key enablers for the success of IoT, sustainable, fully global, energy efficient communication, standards that are secured and have the privacy centered, and use compatible or identical protocols which have different frequencies required to enable the IoTs. So, these are 6 basically enablers of Internet of Things. Now, how do IoTs work? IoTs work with 3 major things: Internet for devices, Internet for machine to machine communication, Internet for non-human. So, Internet is at the background with the technology, and you can see on the diagrams the figures given that all connected lives it is now available. From wireless, when you are walking around you have the devices in your pockets. So, the data is flowing through your cars, then you are connected in your houses with the internet and modems, then you are connected through the cities, then you are connected through the world. So, it is all combined together, and it is not only homes or your offices which are connected, it imparts the education, healthcare, oil and gas, transportation and industrial management. Everything is now connected, and it is not that industrial management cannot enforce into the education, or the business cannot come into the education, or transportation is not connected to education. Everything is being connected as a hub, and then we have individual networks then which are connected together, and overall there is a layer of security, analytics and management which works. So, this is how a structure of IoT works. Obviously, with every interface or technology there is a threat and an opportunity. So, obviously, this IoT has some threats, but it has lot of opportunities also. So, we have to understood generally that if we misunderstood or misconfigured IoT, it possesses risk to our data, our privacy and safety. So, we have to see that the security issues are seen when working with the IoTs. If we have understood the IoTs properly and made it secured, IoT will enhance your communication, your lifestyle and provide the best delivery of services. So, how are the networks changing? You can see there are a lot of points given on this slide, like we have extensions where more modes are connected, more and more connections are there. We have now anytime, any place and anything, as we are library professionals. So, we have to be there 24/7. So, everything is connected anytime, any place, anything. So, IoTs are, that is why very important with the libraries. I will discuss the library concept, why IoTs have come, IoTs are now part of the libraries at the end of the slides. Everything is now connected. Now, we have M2M, which is machine to machine IoTs, billion of interconnected devices are now together, your mobiles are connected to the servers, and servers are further connected to different major mainframes and supercomputers. So, that your each and every data is being recorded, and now we can say the world is connected and everybody is connected through IoTs. Then we have the expansions. We have now broadbands, every office, every homes have now broadbands there. We are moving towards LTEs and 5G spectrums. So, obviously, network is changing. And then enhancements, we have smart networks, we have data centric and content oriented networking, then we have context aware autonomous systems. So, this is how a framework or the network of changing environment is being developed. On the screen you can see a scenario from 2000 to current, even moving towards 2025, year 2025. The graph is shown or the diagram is shown which is showing that year 2000 the RFID tags for facilitating routing, inventorying and loss prevention was there, which were used in the systems as part of IoTs. Then surveillance came in near to 2010, when there was hue and cry, there need to be surveillance, security, healthcare, transport, food safety, documents, management, these kind of systems came into being in year 2010, where we were able to make cost reductions leading to diffusion of into the second wave of applications. Then now in the middle of year 2015, the locating people and everybody objects were possible through your mobile devices, your internet devices, that locations were identified, Google Maps came into being there. So, it was a phase from 2015 to 2019 at present, that the things are now being able to devised, and you were able to find your locations where you are, or how can you connect from one place to the other place, or one person to other person. And now beyond that, 2020 next year or up to 2025, the scenario will come that teleoperations, telepresence, availability of monitors and control distance objects will come, which will make this physical world as a web together, and software agent and advanced sensors fusion will be there, and miniaturization and power efficient electronics and more available spectrums like 5G, 6G will be coming together. So, this is the way from 2000 to 2025 the scenario will move. This slide has been taken from the source University of Surrey IoT, the source is given below. So, this is basically a technology trend or technology reach, how we are moving fast ahead. It is a roadmap of Internet of Things. Now, talking about the architectural trends of IoT, there are some of the issues which are important in IoT standardization. Some of them are designing web services as a common platform to publish service definition and exchange configuration information between various hosts. So, basically we have to design those kind of web services or the platforms which can talk to the devices. Then in the architectural trend itself, designing the messaging service layer is required, providing a basic web services messaging framework between hosts which abstracts the layers. And then we have designing common data exchange formats for sharing of structural data across different systems, so that the systems can talk together and pass on the data from one network to the other network. We are using internet protocol layers, or called the IP proxy layers, for connecting network nodes across multiple types of networking technologies like radio frequencies, waveforms, or your radio platforms. Basically the architectural frameworks need to incorporate all the desired aspects, similar to, we can say, like scalability, flexibility, adaptability. These kind of things are required in this architectural framework to make it more robust. The components and the interfaces for various building blocks such as device interfaces, data formats, networking standards and protocols, then we have service platforms, application interfaces are to be defined in IoT standards itself, so that in future there is no problem, and these interfaces are binded in the devices and the systems applications. On the screen you can see a data life cycle of, basically this is, when we talk of IoTs, the data is moving from one system to the other. So, it is data which is working, and data has a life cycle. It requires multiple sources, it requires real time analytics and visualization, it requires semantic representations. So, IT technical reports digital library adoption in the smart build environment. This paper has been published, and they have given this data life cycle which shows 3 stages basically. The stage 1 is the data collection, where the data is collected, the context is made, metadata, ID, location, time, everything is being recorded. The validation is there with the format, range and source. Then at the third level there is a verification which has accuracy, consistency and integrity of the data is checked. So, this is basically a stage 1 where the data is collected. We have to see these 3 major scenarios, that first is the context, second is the validation and third is the verification of the data. At stage 2 the data analytics comes. Here we have compute the data which we have collected, the system has collected, the devices have collected, it has to be computed. The computation is being done, where we have to store the data, index the data, aggregate it and structure it. Then we have to correlate this data by the way of benchmarks which are available, the profiles are set, informed decisions are made, and then third step in the stage 2 is the compliance. Compliance of data is very important, and we have to see that the data is compliant, we have to check the quality control, we have to see the governance, we have to see the skills and the competence of the data. And the stage 3 comes where data is used or reused. It is the crux of the all IoTs or the present world. The data has to be used and reused. In this, we have to see who is owning the data, who is sharing the data, what is the level of trust, what is the level of access of the data, what is the value of the data, which is the major importance where the economy of the world comes, the whole market opens where we have to see the value of the data. And then second level of stage 3 is the action where we have to design the interface, we have to put it into the visualization so that everybody can understand that data, and then the application comes. Finally, the secondary use where the data is being used secondarily at the secondary level. Like in libraries, we give we have primary, secondary and tertiary data. Here the data is at the secondary level which is being used, and we have to see that at the secondary level what are the risks, what precautions we have to take, what are the copyrights of the data and the licenses of the data. So, these three basically stages are of the data life cycle which goes around and rotate in circular format, which has interaction, feedback and control monitoring system. So, this is the data life cycle. Now, IoT is basically at the background there are sensors and actuators which are working. Sensors means they are mainly input components. They sense and collect surrounding information, not only what is input by the user of the device, but the surrounding information, the environment information is also recorded in IoTs. And there are basically three types of sensors. First one is the passive, which is omnidirectional. Example, I am speaking on the mic, so it is only omnidirectional, it is going in one direction, my voice is recorded and it goes. So, this is what the passive works. Then we have passive narrow beam sensors like PIRs. Then there are more advanced ones like active sensors, like you have sonars, radars etc., which just are not omnidirectional, but multidirectional. The data can move around many phases. The second is actuators. They are mainly output components. The sensors were basically taking the inputs, but actuators are giving the output components. They alter the surroundings, and some examples adding lighting, heat, sound. Then we have controlling monitors to move objects, displaying messages and many others we have. Internet of Things, the things is very important. What things are? We can trust almost every object into a thing. I mean, every object can be a thing. A thing still looks much like an embedded system. It's a generally the thing, you can say it consists of four main parts. First is, which I have discussed, is sensor and actuators. Then we have microcontrollers. Then third one is the communication unit, and the fourth one is the your power supply which goes into it. Now, this thing has some properties. What are these properties? These are like it usually powered by the battery. It implies limited source of energy is there which is working at background. It generally is small in size, various devices are becoming smaller and smaller. So, Internet of Things which are being implemented in devices are smaller and they are now becoming low in cost, and this limits their computing capability also. That is a other side of the coin, that the computing capability has some limitations. It does not usually perform complicated tasks. It is possible because it is meant for data collection and it does not do the complicated parts. However, at the later aspect, the computation process, when the data flows, the computation can be complex also. And then power consumption, as I told you, is the main design issue of the things. Second comes the communication. A thing always feature communications for team working. The role of the communication is to provide a data link between two nodes. Obviously, there are two nodes which work together. So, role is to provide a data link between these two nodes, and then we have multiple kind of communication types like wireline, which has line based, which were like based on your copper wires, then optical fibers, and these kind of wireline structures are there. And then mostly now the wireless is being used, which is radio frequency based, RF based communication, which is now most popular. And our focus on IoT is more on the wireless kind of scenario. And then popular RF based communication solutions are there. The protocols which are used in these IoTs are to communicate IEEE 802.15.4. Then we have another protocol IEEE 802.11, which is for particularly for the Wi-Fi, and then Bluetooth. Bluetooth is another kind of wireless communication. Then NFC, which is near field communication, or RFID communication, which is also being used as a communication solution. In this all scenario, network is the major part. The role of the network is to manage nodes, your discovery, join, leave kind of nodes scenario which works like discovering the nodes, then joining, then it is leaving. So, this is known as managing nodes. Then we have relaying data packets from the source to the destination. Networks are basically the distributed systems. All nodes need to be to perform networking related tasks, and then radio frequency based networks in IoT is usually wireless multi-hop network. We can give some examples that there are like wireless sensors networks, which is known as WSNs, then mobile wireless ad hoc networks, then we have your wireless networks, which is known as WMNS, then we have vehicular ad hoc networks, VNets, and many others are also there working under the multi-hop networks. But our main concern of the networks are that it should have the reliability and the performance should be in a streamlined. The performance should work in a very specific path. Then comes the internet. In IoTs, obviously the first word is internet. The internet serves as a wide area networking for the local network, and this internet uses basically the TCP IP protocol, which implies that the things must support this TCP IP. And we have gateways for a practical deployment. A gateway is often needed in a network. It offers relaying packets between the network and the internet. So, there is a data link, and then we have a network which is connected to a gateway, and further the gateways are connected to the internet. So, this is how it works. On the screen you can see there are IoT protocol stacks which have been provided in a website which is known as by author, which is Loganathan V has provided. He has given a workshop on IoT and cloud computing with its coexistence. He has discussed the two kind of IoT stacks. One is IoT stack and second one is the web stack. So, at the TCP IP model which I told you, there is IoT application for IoT stack and device management in the IoT stack, while in the web stack it is a web application basically. The data formats of these two are different. For IoT stack we can use the binary, JavaScript ON, JSON, which is known as CBOR is used, but web stack you use generally the HTML, XML or JSON JavaScripts you use. Then the application layer we can use COP, MQTT or XMPP or AMQP for in the IoT stacks, while in web stack we use the HTTP, DHCP, DNS or TLS or SSL networks. These are the common application layers which are used in these two stacks. And that we have the transportation layer where UDP or DTLS is used in IoT stacks, while in web stack we use the TCP or UDP protocol. Then we finally the internet layer comes where IoT stack is using IPv6 or IP routing and then 6LO WPN is used, while in web stack it is IPv6 again, and then we are now at present using IPv4 and IPsec also. Then finally, the network layer which you see at the interface called the link layer. The protocols are used like IoT stack, it is IEEE 802.15.4 MAC. Then we have IEEE 802.15.4 PHY. or physical radio, which is known as. Then in web stack we use the Ethernet protocol IEEE 802.3, then we have DSL, ISDN, wireless LAN, then IEEE 802.11, and then Wi-Fi we are using. So, what I told you in the previous slide is shown another in a slide, that it has a protocol stack which shows the complete network of things connected to the server. So, you can see at the top there are two things which are connected, which has a application TCP UDP network IP protocol, and then we have IEEE 80.2.15.4 protocol is being used in these things, and then there is a wireless medium which is connected to the gateway, and which has a network IP, and the protocol is there with IEEE 802.3 Ethernet is being used, or the physical MAC is used where IEEE 80.15.4 is used, and then finally it is connected to the internet, which is further connected to the server having a application TCP UDP network, and then we have protocol of IEEE 802.3 of Ethernet, which is used to make this network possible. So, this is the way the data flows from things to the server. Then enabling technology with the wireless technology is possible. There are some megahertz or the micro things. Then we have network topologies which are connecting these, like we can do it by star network or we can do it by mesh network. The range frequency differs from 280 meters to 100 meters. The network is connected from WAN to MAN to LAN to PAN, and different protocols of are used at different levels from wide area network, the downsized MANs and WANs and PANs. So, you can see that a star network is being used which has Bluetooth and your Zybyte, and then network is being used to connect the devices, whether it is from your cars, your systems, your institutions, your libraries, all are connected in a mesh or the star network. Now, let us discuss what are the system models and applications of IoTs. Various applications are available in which can be used, like we are coming with the smart cities, smart homes, smart libraries, then we have healthcare, smart grids which are being coming up, which are connected, everything is connected, everything in these smart applications are recorded. Then we have physical cyber social systems, then we have machine to machine communications, and then system models and standards which are being used. I have already discussed the IoT architecture which has physical components. As I told, there are sensors, actuators, then we use compute, store and communicate the data. There are additional logical components like security and dependability compositions, then we have time bound compositions that should be in time bound, then the cross ownership service composition is there which makes it as a logical component, then policy negotiation and governance is required, then we have the federated orchestration which is required. But overall the objective is to have predicatable scalability, correctness and time to complete all these things. IoT has some threats also, like it is by default weak and had hard coded credentials. I mean, your all credentials are being saved into the devices and it can be with other people or other servers. So, it is a threat. Then we have difficulty to update the firmware or operating systems. So, it is always there that the devices have to be updated, it can be sometimes hurdle also. Then we have lack of vendor support for repairing vulnerabilities of these things. When the vulnerability comes, the vendor support is not there, then vulnerable web interfaces like SQL injections, XSS are there. Then we have coding errors which is something like overflows which comes into the picture. Then we have clear text protocols or unnecessary open ports which provides the problems, I mean gives the problems. Then we have distributed denial of services or DOS which is known as, or DDoS, which is a threat. Then obviously physical theft and tampering is always a threat in the IoTs. IoTs have data challenges also, like multimodal or heterogeneous, it need to be multimodal and heterogeneous. The data can be noisy or incomplete, the data is based on the time and location, I mean it is dependent on that. Then we have dynamics and varies in quality. Then we have crowded source data which can be unreliable, and then we requires real time analysis. This data requires real time analysis, which is another a challenge, and the privacy security, which I have discussed multiple times now, are one of the challenge. And data can be biased also. When the data is collected, when it is analyzed, it can be biased. So, it is another challenge. We need to know that what our data is. When we discuss the governance of IoT, privacy and security challenges, the IoT diversity in devices, service and protocols present challenges which are unseen and unprecedented in the modern communication. It requires governance and provides privacy concerns. It has security challenges, it has the autonomy, it has computational constraints, then it has the discoverability, and it has the trust relationships. So, these are unprecedented and unseen challenges which can come anytime with your IoT systems. Then it does not have any international compatibility standard. The devices are made at different forums. So, there is a possibility that internationally they do not have the compatibility. It can be highly complex, resulting in failures, a reduced safety for users, because when the users are using it, it may be passing the data, but naturally there is a safety problem for the users can be there, because getting into high quality of data by the owners is required. So, somewhere the safety is compromised. Then we have Internet of Things devices may take control of life in due course of time with increasing AI technology. That means, it takes over the human beings, it takes the decisions on the part of human beings, which can be dangerous with more and more artificial intelligence being used in the devices. Now, coming to the part of the libraries, which is important, we have discussed what is IoT's Internet of Things, how it is working in the common world, how it is working in your lives, but it is being in the libraries. You need to be using these in the libraries, because you have lot of data with you which is being there in the libraries. This has to be recorded and used for providing the services to the users. This is the crux, that this data has to be recorded for the users, so that we can provide the better services to them. When we talk about the data in libraries, what kind of data we can collect, or what kind of data is available in the libraries. This can be data on the social media, you are using all around the day. So, whatever is being used can be recorded and can be used potentially for the better aspects of the users. Then we have lot of e-platforms like e-resources subscriptions which are being used, the databases, the journals, the e-books. What kind of way the users are using these e-books, and the statistics which we basically at the moment we collect. If we go a step ahead, we can see how the data is being used, what kind of data is being used, the analysis of that is done, becomes the part of IoT. Then we have lot of devices which our users in the libraries are using, like laptops, tablets, smartphones, scanners, printers, which are all connected to the Wi-Fi or the internet. So, these can be used in the libraries. Those data can be fetched and can be further analyzed through the servers. When our users move into the library gates, we can have enabled high end sensors there which can provide the data to the IoTs. Then we have IoT online connectivity to the membership counters. The transactions are being done with the users for issue return of the resources, not only in the physical aspect, but in the online context also. So, those online connectivity of your memberships, your circulations can be used in IoTs. Then we have catalogs and OPEX, which are major part of the libraries. These have the potentiality to bring the IoTs in the libraries. Then we have fire detection and prevention devices installed in the library. So, these can also record the major part of the data for IoTs. So, where some fire can be potentiality, there is a potentiality of fire, the data can be fetched from there with a device. Then we have mobile application and mobile referencing, which we are providing through mobile interfaces. So, IoTs can come into that aspect and the data can be recorded. Then we have tracking movement of resources and inventory in libraries, which is another aspect where the data can be fetched. Then we have assisted technologies which we are providing to our visually impaired students, physically challenged users. So, those kind of data which with the devices we are providing to them, the data can be fetched from this and provided to the IoT applications. Then we have virtual and digital libraries, which we are now almost every library or every librarian is working with. So, it can be connected to the IoTs. There are some of other potential areas in IoTs which can be used in libraries, like library automation software. Your LMS can be further enhanced and can be made a IoT application. Then we have library management tools, all the applications which we are using, your digitization technology, your digital library, virtual platforms, which I already told. Then we have tools to search like discovery platform, then you have federated search. These kind of platforms can be also used as part of IoT's Internet of Things for fetching the data and finding what kind of scenario or what kind of thinking the users have to further provide the best of the services. Preservation and digitization platforms, internet and Wi-Fi data logs can be generated and further analyzed, library website and other electronic marketing tools including social media, then mobile applications I already told. Then we have other digital means of communications like SMS, emails, etc., which can be further connected. To conclude, I will say that libraries are now using the magic mirrors, which are consisting of the cameras, sensors with Wi-Fi enabled, which provides interaction between the people and computers to record the data of the users. Then we have pressure pad sensors, which are now being used in the libraries, which are consisting of the thin sheet of sensors having the pad enabled with Wi-Fi technology, and this is connected with to the processing unit, which records and controls the system of your library users and their activities. Cloud based applications are also being used in the libraries, which are attached to the IoT applications. Then we have the mobile applications, which are now being used, as I told, to have the virtual tours in the libraries. So, these virtual tours, how the users are moving in these virtual tours, all can be recorded with the mobile devices and thus can be based on the IoTs. Then we have online mobile apps, which are used to keep and track the availability of the book on the respective shelves, or we can check the other resources availability despite the location where they are. So, these are all connected to the IoTs and thus provides the data to the platform. Then finally, we have smart books, gaming coming into the libraries, augmentation reality, object based learning. So, these are the potentialities where IoTs can be further enhanced in the libraries. So, I hope you have understood what IoTs are, what is the architecture of IoT and how can you implement these IoTs in the libraries. So, if you have any questions, you can put it in the forum. I will be happy to answer these your queries. Thank you.